Welcome on for video number 8. As you already know, in this video we're going to be looking at my alumni and donor visit trip to Missouri, my home state. So pretty excited about this one. What we'll do here is I do have a couple videos from my last day of the trip that kind of recap some of the things that I was doing, how things were going, so on and so forth. But before we jump into those, I do just want to throw a graphic up here to kind of show you my schedule for the week, what the itinerary that we put together looks like, and then fill in some of the gaps that are going to be left by the videos that I show you from that week. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, so just to open things up here, I flew into St. Louis on Tuesday, November 5th. So that was a pretty quick turnaround, obviously, for my trip to Boston, really just a couple full days at home. And then I landed in St. Louis about 9 p.m. that night, picked up my rental car right away, and then actually stayed at a friend's house that night. So obviously being from Missouri and going to my undergraduate program in St. Louis was great to reconnect with some friends while I was in town, starting out that first night. So got a great night of sleep, but comfier bed than what you get in the hotel room. And then on November 6th, really just kind of got straight to it. So I had my first meeting on the 6th with one of our younger alumni. It was around 12:30. Didn't meet for lunch, but actually met at his office. He's doing really well. He's a CEO of his own company, and really neat office space. Cool to, I guess, have that experience of meeting with somebody that's at such a high level, but also at such a young age. That meeting went fantastic. We connected really well, had a few shared experiences. He's actually a Mizzou fan, University of Missouri, which I am as well. So I had some really cool conversation there, and ultimately feel like he's gonna be a great resource for the program moving forward, and someone that I'll definitely continue to build a solid relationship with. Then for the rest of the day, really, obviously grabbed lunch, kind of relaxed a little bit after that, but immediately started working on the newsletter once I kind of regrouped. So again, still have to do that office work and that general stuff while you are away, because you do have plenty of time in between visits. So that was pretty much the rest of the day, was that newsletter. Did grab some dinner with friends and caught up with guys, which again, super great to do that when you're in an area you're familiar with. But then on the 7th, it was a pretty early morning. Had a breakfast meeting at 8 a.m. With a baseball alumni from the class of 61. So knew a lot about the history of not only Penn baseball, but the University of Pennsylvania. Absolutely loved hearing this guy's story. He and his son both went to the University of Pennsylvania and played baseball there. And then he was also really well connected with the St. Louis community and some other Penn alum in the area. So he talked to me a little bit about that, but overall had a super positive meeting with him, and kind of got me excited for the rest of the day. Initially, I was supposed to just have free time between my breakfast meeting on the 7th and my lunch meeting on the 7th, but kind of last minute got another meeting scheduled with a guy whose office happened to be right around the corner from where I grabbed breakfast. That meeting was somebody I was connected with through one of my meetings in Boston. So pretty cool situation there. And in the meeting with that guy, it wasn't necessarily one where he was ready to give to the program. He felt his resources were better suited elsewhere, but he did offer, his help if there was ever a particular initiative, which for some people, that's just, kind of how they roll. Not a problem at all. And then lunch meeting on the 7th was with a football alumni that has been historically difficult to get in touch with, but somebody that has been identified as someone that we want to start building a relationship with, that has potentially the capacity to give higher amounts. And what really intrigued me about this individual after my first 2 meetings that day was that both of the gentlemen that I had met with previously on the 7th, even though they were a significantly older age bracket than this guy, knew him well, had great things to say about him, and it's clear he's very involved in the St. Louis community. So that meeting I was a little nervous for, but the guy ended up being just super nice, very personable, very laid back, and really connected well with him. He's got kids that are getting ready to go into college, so as far as giving to the football program, now might not be the best time, but we did talk a little bit about getting into the college experience and choosing the right school, all that good stuff. So ultimately, great meeting and super excited to see where that relationship goes. And then on the 8th, which was Friday, I did close out with a meeting with a rowing alumni from 1957. So that may have been one of my favorite meetings so far, just because of the history that he had and the appreciation that he had for the University of Pennsylvania. He's lived quite the life and had quite the journey. If you're not familiar with rowing, there's a book called Boys in the Boat that talks about a famous rowing team from back in the, I believe, early 1940s, one of the last Olympics before World War II, and he actually knew some of the guys from that personally. So really enjoyed that meeting. He was very appreciative that I had come to meet with him. It's been a while since anybody from Penn had been to St. Louis. So ultimately, a great example of when the job can be super rewarding and you can really make an impact on people. And now I will pop up those couple of videos that I have from my last day of the trip. There will be a little bit of recap of information, but hopefully, it's still engaging and the message delivered in a little bit of a different way. But yeah, excited to show you guys, and here you go. Hey guys, today is the last day of my visit in St. Louis, which means it is Friday. Over the past couple days, things have gone really well. I had one visit on Wednesday with one of our younger alumni. I'm super excited to get him involved with the program. I think he'll be a great person to have that connection with going forward. Thursday, I actually had a last-minute meeting scheduled with a guy that was recommended to me from my visits back in Boston. So that just goes to say, always make sure that you're asking those questions and seeing who else you can connect with. Today I've got one more, just a lunch with a gentleman from our rowing team back in the late 50s. So really looking forward to that one and learning the history. But I feel like I've got at least a few guys that plan to make gifts to the program. Obviously, it's been really great to connect with people from my home state of Missouri. I think that's certainly helped me in these conversations, and people don't usually come here, so they're very appreciative that I made the trip out and reached out to have conversations with them. So excited to wrap that up, excited to continue these relationships and just kind of get back to the grind. Between my visits, I do also have to make sure I'm doing typical desk work. So working on a couple of newsletters, a couple emails. Actually got one late last night, kind of last minute, that we needed to make sure was ready for this morning. So worked a little bit after hours, but not something that is necessarily uncommon in college sports. So be prepared for that if you decide to go into it. I've also been dealing with a little bit of a cold, just from kind of the lots of traveling recently. Was in Boston obviously last week, got back on Saturday night, was back on a plane Tuesday night to come to St. Louis. So getting better today, but just maybe one of the things to think about and know might be coming your way as your body's getting run down from lots of travel, some late nights with work, that kind of thing. So again, hope you guys enjoyed those quick clips. After I finished up all my visits and stuff on Friday, I did head down to my hometown. Actually, I had a buddy's wedding, so I was able to kind of loop that all into one, and that's something that some schools will allow you to do, some schools will be not so lenient on it, but very thankful that they were willing to allow me to do that. And yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up everything from my Missouri visit. Super great experience for me. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about it. And the next video number 9, will look at something that every school does across the country, and that is homecoming. So a bit of a hectic week, but excited to kind of show you guys how that went, and I'll see you then.